They're sort of common, but if they've earned a few quid, they're just flash basically. You know? Girls, they go to watch Usher concerts and get a bit horny.
Hello and welcome to Drawn Out Conversations, the show where we delve into the lives of our guests through art. And today, I'm joined by Mr. Essex himself, the geezer with two first names, Mr. Josh James. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Hello, Maz. How are you, brother?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I had a joke for you, but I bottled it because you're the comedian. So I thought,
Yeah.
you know what? If I say it and it goes down like a lead balloon.
Go on. Why don't you?
No, you put me on the spot.
No.
I don't like it.
No,
I'm shy.
that's all right. I'll let her know. Yeah, leave it to
You're
me.
the joke man, not a joke man.
Yeah.
You're the guy with the joke.
You are a joke.
You're the guy with the
You
joke.
sound like my dad's.
Well, it looks like we've got a lot of things to go through then
Yeah.
today. Are you any good with the old paintbrush?
Well, mate, I used to be quite good.
Did you?
When I went to school, I weren't that good at school. As you can imagine, the two subjects that I was good at was art and PE. And art at GCSE, I actually got an A star.
No way.
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
A star.
I
So-
know.
Okay, I've got high standards now then.
But the thing I got the A star for, I think, when I was at the GCSE in the exam, the theme was self-portrait, so you had to draw yourself, right?
Ooh.
And I drew myself as a clown. But here we
Why
go. I was crying. So it probably gives you some sort of quite fun, but also quite dark. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably gives you a little insight into sort of
The
like
mind.
like to my poor mental health. Do you know what I mean?
But whilst you're painting, I'm also going to be painting as well.
Lovely.
So I'm actually going to be doing a portrait of you.
Oh,
Your
really?
lovely mug. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
On that, are there any features that you'd like me to, help you look? I mean, you've got a very asymmetrical face, actually. You've got quite an even face.
Yeah. Any things that you'd like to make look better? Or
Yeah.
Can you give me a bigger cock? Or what?
We don't know.
Listen, all I'm saying is, if you make it look big, you'd be doing me a favour. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, sadly, it's only the upper half, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
All
not
right.
a full body. It's not a full body.
Well, don't go drawing one on my head then,
Okay.
because I know what you content creators are like. You do anything for, do you know what I mean? Some views.
For a clip, yeah.
Yeah. So what am I drawing?
You're drawing something or someone that means a lot to you from your past or from
okay.
your childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can think
Got
of
someone in
something.
mind?
I've got someone in mind.
You are an Essex boy.
I am, mate.
Proud and loud from Essex.
Yeah, I'd say pretty proud. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of part of the act. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
okay. What was it like growing up in Essex?
It was all right. I sort of grew up in two different sides of it. So I'm from Brentwood, which you probably know as being like largely where the only way is Essex is sort of based.
Yeah. And Matchroom.
And Matchroom with the boxing. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
quite a few things come from Brentwood really. And I went to school in a place called Hornchurch,
Oh, yeah.
which is
District line.
yeah, it's on District Line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of grew up in those sort of areas, and it was all right, mate. To be honest, we had a laugh at school, and yeah it was all mad when all the whole Towie thing can't come out. Because I'm like, oh, this is sort of like where I've lived. Do you know what I mean? This is where I'm from, and I'd say it is sort of largely like that. Maybe just not as flash as what they sort of make out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people are pretty similar to what they sort of portray on that show, really. So yeah, lucky that I'm quite happy. I had a nice upbringing and pretty happy. Can't complain really.
Can't complain. That's the best thing. And I noticed as well, I did a bit of a dig through your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you posted a lot of videos with your gran. And she came across as hilarious just from a few videos I watched.
Roses are red, a big dildo made of glass.
I wouldn't want that at my house.
Was she a big inspiration for you?
Yeah, oh, definitely. She so my grandparents basically they was from like the East End. My nan was from Limehouse, so real real sort of Cockneys. You know what I mean? And my nan was just like that. I mean, do you know what she reminds me of? If you've seen Grime Gran. Yeah, she's very similar to her, and I think a lot of the ladies of that generation from that area, they're like that really, where they're not.
Was it like no filter?
No filter.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the nan out of Catherine Tate, it really nailed. I think that sort of like those sort of group of women. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what they're like. And my relationship with my nan was quite similar to that, really. And actually, when I first started putting videos up on online, it weren't of me. I was just videoing my nan in the care home, and just like, because she didn't really understand what a phone was and that I could film, and and she was just really funny. I mean, more funnier than I'll ever be, to be honest with you. So that was like my first sort of foray into a bit of content creation, really.
What was it that made her so funny? Like, what was her sort of was she just naturally quite funny? Some of the jokes she was coming out with? Or?
Well, they weren't really jokes. I think what was funny about it is because she was quite aggressive. Do you know what I mean? And it's like aggression when it's from someone that can like knock you out or whatever. He's not all that funny. But when it's from like a 90-year-old woman,
right?
You know, who's effing and blinding and wants to fight people, that's quite funny.
What is the most Essex thing about you?
Probably my teeth.
Your teeth, yeah?
Yeah, I've had my teeth done, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I've had my
They look very natural.
They're not veneers, but I've had the brace.
Oh, okay.
No, I've had the brace, and they're quite like...
They look supernatural, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what it is, when I first had them done, I had them all whitened and that as well, and they look fucking ridiculous. It's going up on stage, and you can imagine with the bright lights when you go up on stage and do stand-up, people are like, you got to sort your teeth out, mate, because that's all we're looking at. Do you know what I mean? But I'd probably say that is like...
Your stereotypical...
Yeah, a lot, because in Essex, you get a lot of people doing the old... they make a few adjustments, let's say. Do you know what I mean? Not everything you see is all that natural.
Yeah.
You know, and I suppose, I'd probably say my teeth.
If someone's never been to Essex, right, you're trying to explain to them what Essex is like, how would you describe Essex to people? Let's say someone from America's watching right now.
If someone from America's watching, I always think that Essex is quite similar to New Jersey.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's typically, I suppose, South Essex, where I grew up, it's a lot of families that have moved out of London for one reason or another. But they're different from people from East London because, I don't know, it's quite an entrepreneurial place. Do you know what I mean? So maybe people have earned a little bit of money. So, you know, they're sort of common, but if they've earned a few quid, they're just flash cunts, basically. Do you know what I mean? They're like, they let you know about it. You mentioned it earlier with the boxing matchroom. I mean, Eddie Hearn's a good example. It's like,
he's class.
You know, he's something like they've done well and they sort of want, they let you know about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
What made you want to become a comedian? What was that moment where you thought, do you know what, this could be a career, this could be what I want to do for the rest of my life? Was it like a moment in time, or was it just a general thing where...
Yeah, I think when I was at school, I just always like, I don't know, weren't particularly good at school, not good at concentrating. I just always used to get a buzz out, just trying to cause a bit of mayhem, really.
Were you the class clown?
Yeah, I was, a bit of a stereotype in that, but I was, you know, and it was more through because I wasn't particularly intelligent. When I weren't good at the studies and that, I just thought to myself, well, I can't be good at this. And instead of like admitting that I was having trouble, I needed help, you know, my sort of
you weren't in those like
make people laugh.
Those special ed class where you no one's naughty.
No, I weren't that thick. No.
We used to call it LS10, I think.
I know what you mean.
Like a special class.
A few of my mates were in those ones. Like, people could spell their own name and all that. I weren't in those.
Okay, good.
But I wasn't. I was all like sort of C's and D's really, except from art and PE, where I've done a bit better. You know.
Yeah, nice.
It took me till I was about 23 until I was like, right, I'm gonna go try and give it a go. And when you first get up there, it takes a lot.
I was going to ask about that. What was that like the first time you went on stage?
Oh, terrifying.
Was it?
Yeah. It's terrifying. Yeah.
Were you any good?
I was probably the best out of the best of a bad bunch. Yeah. Like I started out with like 10 other people that had never done it before. And I was probably the best one. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean I was good.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're all making like what were some of my jokes? I mean, it's terrible. I thought this was a really good joke at the time. I was like, that is. I was like, get me a Love at the Apollo. Do you know what I mean? I thought this is great. What was it? I used to have an ex-girlfriend called Ruby. She dumped me because she said I was too mature. And I said, yeah, well, you know what? Your name sounds like Booby. Terrible. That was like one of my.
It's one of those jokes that's terrible but quite funny.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah.
I'm trying to help you. Yeah?
It was
But no,
terrible.
okay. So that was
But they've got a bit better since then. I'd like to
good.
say.
That's good. Yeah. What's something you said on stage that's got a really bad reaction? Has there ever been a moment where you've said a joke and everyone's just gone, the room's just fell silent, and it's just gone terribly wrong?
There was one joke that I had to stop doing because it would go either way, right?
Right.
It's similar, not too similar to that Ruby joke, really. I was like, I've got a mate, he's like a West Ham fan, like a hooligan. So, you know, he hates Tottenham, Millwall. He don't like Blackpool, which I think's out of order because Paul's well all right. That could go one or two ways. You know what I mean?
That's good. I think that's a good joke.
Yeah, you know, I liked it as well, but you have to go. The audience is the.
And what was it? Did the audience in the room just not laugh at that?
No, it would either be the funniest joke in the set, or it would be like, I don't know if we can laugh at that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Crickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
But does that go against what you sort of believe in as a comedian? Because for example, if you think your stuff's really funny or it's really good, it's true to you, but you have to stop doing it for others, is that like a conflict of interest from a comedian's perspective?
Maybe a little bit, but you've got to listen. There's some comedians out there that will just do jokes and they'll think you're either with me or you're not, and they're that sort of comedian. For me, when I'm up there, you
want to cater to.
Yeah, but I'm with my jokes. They are a bit edgy, but I want them to come across as cheeky, of being like, oh, that was, do you know what I mean? Yeah. That was good. Or we don't usually laugh at that, but it's cool. Like, we felt inside our fans there. I don't ever want people watching me feeling uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean?
No, I hear you. So I don't know if you've seen recently, but Usher, the singer, he came out in an interview and he said basically he's got a song called Pop Your Collar, which he absolutely hates, right?
Right.
But the audiences in Europe love it. So he feels like obligated to do it for these audiences.
I see that. It's not that popular in America, is it?
Yeah, exactly that. So it's really popular in the UK. For me, it's an absolute banger, by the way. But for some reason, he don't like it. So my question to you is there jokes that you hate doing, but the audience love it and you feel like obligated to do it? Or vice versa? Is there ones that...
That's a good question. There are some jokes that I do that I prefer to others. Definitely. I wouldn't say there's any of the jokes that I've written that I dislike. If I dislike them, I'll just stop doing them. Yeah, but that's mad, that, isn't it? That he literally, I see that the other day. That
it's mental, isn't it?
Pop Your Collar is not that big in America.
Absolute banger that is, by the way.
What a banger.
Yeah.
And Americans don't know about it.
He actually performed it at the O2 the other day, actually.
Did he?
Yeah, because of the pressure. He was like, do you know what? I've got to cater to the fans. Got to do it.
Yeah, it's been funny, those videos coming out of the Usher concert, isn't it?
A lot of mixed reviews.
My missus is going on Friday, and I've got to say I'm a little bit nervous because I've been seeing a lot of girls going and getting very, very horny.
With a cherry.
Oh, mate.
Mental, isn't it?
The thing is, though, if my missus went and done that, she's so good with the kids, I just think, I can't just let her have it. Do you know what I mean? like, listen.
Is that the free pass? Is it the hall pass?
Us boys to unwind, we go down the pub with the boys, don't we? Watch a bit of football. I mean, girls, they go to watch Usher concerts and get a bit horny. It's like, fair enough. It's like, whatever floats your boat, But yeah, I see she's going on Friday, so... I just said, look, don't be the one on the big screen.
With a cherry going in.
Who am I to tell her what to do? Do you know what I mean? Who am I? She's a great mum to our little boy. So it's just like, sometimes you just got to swallow it, ain't you?
Well, she might be.
Well, she might be. She might be.
Unfortunately, it is time up. But I tell you what, very, very good effort. Probably, arguably, I feel like he might be the best person we've had on it.
Really? I've got to say that is very rushed. But
I can see the vision. Do you know what it is? I can see that you've got something about you.
Yeah, I'm probably trying a bit too hard for anything. You know what I mean?
The triad. I asked you to paint me something or someone from your childhood that means a lot to you. So please, can you turn around your cameras?
Reveal, yeah?
Yeah, the big reveal.
Right, here we go.
Here we go.
So
I did have a little look. But I'm assuming... Right, can I have a guess first?
Go on, you have a guess.
Yeah. So LB, I'll be honest, I don't have a clue. That's thrown me. But I'm assuming that's his initials.
That's his initials, yeah. He's not a left back.
He's not a left back. Yeah, he doesn't look like a left back to me. Right. I think this is your inspiration for comedy. and I think it's a comedian because he looks like the geezer from Up, but I don't think it is him. But is it your inspiration growing up? Comedy?
It's not, mate.
It's not.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
All right.
That's my granddad.
Amazing.
That's my granddad. And that, you mentioned there about my nan. She was a lunatic. I think borderline schizophrenic, you know what I mean? But obviously back in the day, right. You can laugh. She's dead. She won't fucking get the other of you now. But she was married to my granddad, and she was a lunatic. And my granddad was really was the complete opposite. He was very much like a real gentleman, softly spoken. Everyone loved him. No one would ever say a bad word about him. He was just a real gent, you know what I mean? And he was just like, always been some, when I think about my childhood, I think about him. And he was the guy that looked at like, wow, love, you know what I mean? Like, I remember he used to have this old like Ford Fiesta, and it had like stripes down the same, like old car, shit car basically. And I remember him asking me once when I was about 9 or 10, he goes, "Oh, when you drive one day, like, what car do you want to drive?" And because I idolised him so much, I was like, "I want to drive your car." And he laughed. He's like, "You don't want to drive that thing. Like, it's terrible." But yeah.
Your dream car being a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah. And his name was Leslie Black. So that's why I put the initials there, LB.
Love that.
Like I said, he was just liked and loved by everyone. And unfortunately, I don't think I have the same impression on people.
Of course you do, mate. Of course you do, mate.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more, you know what I mean?
No.
You can either take or leave me. But yeah, he was the man.
So we're now going to stay in the present, and I'd like you to paint for me your current state of mind. Now, there's no rules here. You can be as abstract as you want. You can, whatever's going up here, get it on the canvas.
I like a bit of abstract.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're an abstract man, are you?
I can be. I can be if you want me to be. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
How's life, mate?
Life's
How's
all right,
things?
mate. I can't complain. You can't really moan when you're like, I suppose, I've got a job where I'm doing what I love, and my family are all happy and healthy.
If there is an aspect of your life that you think, do you know what, that could be a bit better, is there anything that you could improve, for example, or?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we all always think that's just it's mad to get in that trap, isn't it? Because I think just like naturally, as like just people, we're always trying to get more, aren't we? We just think, and even when you get the thing that you want to get, you think to yourself, "Oh, I've got that now. Now what's the next else? What's the next thing?" And I think life is really, and I'm not always the best at doing it, but it's just about being sort of content with what you've got and grateful for what you've got. So in terms of like, I suppose career-wise, I'm out on tour at the moment. I've been doing tour support for Mo Gilligan, which was a dream of mine a couple of years ago.
What's that like?
Oh yeah, unbelievable. Especially because last time on his last tour, I was in the audience watching.
That's mad.
So.
Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes in those moments?
You do have to, you do have to step back and think, oh wow, like a couple of years ago, this was like my dream to be doing this. I can remember sitting in the audience at Hammersmith Apollo thinking, oh, I'd love to support Mo Gilligan one day on tour. And then
how did that come about?
A couple of years later, it happened. He's been a real top guy to me, really. Like he's found me funny, kicked him a few times, was always really liked what I'd done and liked the content that I put out, and he's just supported me really, and whenever he's helped, could help me out, he has done, and we've got along well. And he's a top geezer. A lot of we thing with comedies, like you can be as good as you want to be, but actually if there's not other comedians that are more experienced than you or higher up the ladder or whatever, holding the door open for you to come through as well, then you don't often get the opportunities, you know what I mean? So the fact that he does that, and not just with me, but with loads of different comedians, he's a real top guy, you know what I mean? So and that's, I think it's all about, I suppose he's been given opportunities by other comedians, and it's about sort of passing it on really.
What's the money like in comedy? Because I feel like in comedy, obviously, if you're at the top, you're
it's really good.
It's really good. But I feel like if you're still an up and coming and grinding on the scene, you're going to a lot of comedy clubs, I can imagine it being quite difficult, right?
Yeah. It's definitely difficult. When you're coming up, the money is terrible. I'm doing a bit better now.
Yeah.
But you know, like even if you're like a club you're in like the top comedy clubs, you might get, if you're lucky, a couple of £100 for a set, which is all right. You know, it's no, you know, a couple of £100, but actually, you know, when you're thinking about supporting a family, or do you know what I mean, trying to live your life, there's not loads of money in that side of it. Of course, if you get to the upper end, you know, your likes of, look at Michael McIntyre or someone like that who's selling out arenas. Yeah, they earn a lot of money. You know.
And what's it like when you have to go through those sort of like struggles when, as a comedian, you're trying to, like you said, you're going to have to do what, 5-6 shows a week to sort of try and make a decent living, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's hard because you're travelling up and down the motorway and it's not a glamorous job at all, you know. And
how do you get through those times? What's the driver for you?
I suppose it's just the end goal of, you know, wanting to be that sort of touring comedian one day. But it is very difficult, you know. A lot of people, I think maybe stand up, the hardest thing about it is getting up and, you know, trying to make people laugh. Actually, one of the hardest things is those, you know, driving back from Liverpool at 2 a.m. when you've just done a set for £150 maybe, but you think, right, if I just carry on this, you know, in a year's time I could be here, there and there. And it's not, you know, it's certainly, if you want to be like a rich person,
comedy ain't the one.
Yeah, listen, you're better off doing other things. You know what I mean? It's got to be about more than that. It's got to be more like,
you've actually got to do it for the passion, right?
You've got to do it for the love of. It's got to be your vocation, you know. And some people do that. You know, some people do it for a few years and then they think, actually, fuck this. You know.
Did you ever think about quitting?
I've thought about quitting a few times. When I'd done tour support for a guy called Babatunde Aleshe a few years ago, and he would just come out of the jungle. I'm a celeb. And he asked me to be tour support, and it was an amazing experience. And we were playing theatres up and down the country, and it was just like everything I dreamed of doing. You know, you're performing to like 1,000 people every night, unbelievable. And I said to him then, I was like, I might give it up because I can't imagine it will get any better than this for me.
Oh, wow.
And
it's a really interesting perspective. I feel like surely at that point you're thinking, right, what's the next thing? What's the next? But you
I think the opposite. Yeah, I'm very sort of negative mindset.
That's mad.
But like, just I think, you know, was probably going to be the best this is going to be for me. And he sort of spoke me out of it, and he was like, no, look, you've got sort of a few, you know, a big future doing this. Yeah, and now I'm doing my own tour, and you know, things are opening up for me a bit more, and yeah, I'm glad I did stick with it. But I'm of the sort of thing of, if something really good happens, I think, well, enjoy this while it lasts, because it ain't going to last forever. Do you know what I mean? Whereas some people, I think, are opposite. They're like, this is just the beginning and I'm going to hit the big time. Whereas I'm sort of like, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm maybe not as that sort of mindset.
That's crazy, yeah. Talking about that then, if there was a career change, if you had to go into another career,
what would I do?
What would you do?
If just that comedy work dries up and all that, I'd probably go do the knowledge, be a black cab driver. I think I could drive about all day and chat with people in the back, you know, because black cabbies, they're great. You can have a good chat with them, and you know they're usually full of life, aren't they?
No, 100%. I think you'd be quite good at that.
So I think that's what I'd probably go do if that was if the comedy didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean?
And I did ask you, can you please paint me your current state of mind? And I feel like this is very abstract. You really hit that.
Yeah, I've gone abstract. When you said abstract,
you went.
I then tried to draw some lines.
Go on, give us a reveal. Look at this. All right, a little blues. A little bit
I just thought. So for the blue, it's basically because I'm feeling quite content at the moment.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And that's the blue. Blue skies, content, summer's on the way, happy days.
Love it.
There's a bit of black in there.
There is.
Because I've always got a bit of darkness. Ooh. Do you know what I mean?
What kind of dark? Not like a serial killer darkness.
Yeah, no, as in like, I'll shove this in your face. No, I won't do that. No, like, it's all a bit of, you know, as good as things can be, there's always a little bit of darkness there lingering. If I don't stay exercising, if I don't stay meditating, if I don't be grateful for what's happening in my life, the darkness.
Do you do a lot of that? Do you do a lot of meditating?
I do meditate, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Because I've got to. Because I'm mental. There's always a bit of darkness there.
Right.
So, do you know what I mean? Just acknowledging that you've got to. But it's all right because majority is blue.
Yeah.
Majority's happy. Yeah. But there's still a bit
there. A little bit there.
Still a little bit there.
Sometimes, do you know what? Controversially, sometimes that can come in handy. I think you need that little bit of darkness.
Gives you a bit of edge.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're too happy, I think personally,
I think so.
It's not great. I think,
And
yeah,
then,
of course I'll agree.
And then, yeah, cool. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right to be a bit
mental.
A bit mental, yeah.
And then what's this little lighter patch here?
I've done
and
the lighter patch, and I've done. Do you know what?
What was that?
I went to just do a little JJ,
Right.
but I suppose this is maybe. I went to do a little JJ because I've done the initials for my granddad there.
Right.
But the JJ initials have really overtaken the thing, and I suppose that is maybe a bit indicative of my ego. You know what I mean? It's like I've done it. I wanted to do a little initials, but I've done the big ones.
I like this. You're self-therapizing yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm a bit self-aware, really. That's a bit. The initials a bit too much.
Right.
If I saw that,
Why,
and I'm watching it
why are the initials anyway?
I don't know, really. To be honest, mate, I just thought
Just
it
wanted to get
needed a
in
little
there.
something else.
Right.
But it's a little bit muggy, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
You fucking.
It's supposed to be like your signature, really.
It's almost like, you know what I mean? I've just got a private number plate and I want to get my initials on there, you know. And I'm having a great day today with you, so that's
amazing.
why the blue, you know
Love
what I mean?
that.
So yeah,
Love
there you
that.
go.
Beautiful. Now we're looking into the future.
Yeah.
All right. So I want you to paint me a moment in the future you want to see happen.
Okay.
So it's a bit like manifestation, really. Are you a believer in manifestation?
Well, the law of attraction and all that.
I feel like if you meditate.
Do you know what? I'm not. But that said, there's been like a few things over the last few years that's happened in my life that I've pictured happening and that they've happened.
Well, you go.
But the law
Manifestation.
yeah, I know, but I tend not to. I think I don't. I probably, if you push me, I'd say I don't believe in manifestation. I believe in just hard work.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Graft and you'll get there.
Grafting, yeah, and you get there, yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll rate it. Currently, right, you've seen a big influx of, online comedians, I want to call them, or, social media content creators that, turn their hand to comedy.
Yeah.
Also, you do a bit as well online. Like, obviously, you do your comedy in person, of course.
Yeah.
But also, you do a lot of skits online.
Yeah.
Where do you see that going? Like, in terms of the future for content, do you see it still being the graft in the comedy clubs? Or do you feel like it is transitioning now to online?
That's a really good question, and because not a lot of people see like the difference between the two. A lot of people sometimes see someone online and they think, oh, they're a comedian, but really what they do, they just put videos up on TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a big difference, right?
There's a big difference. I mean, look, the trouble is now is that if you're like a funny person and you want to earn a living from making people laugh, actually doing the online content and stuff like that is a bit more of a, I don't know, it's a bit more profitable, as we spoke about earlier. There's not loads of money in doing the comedy clubs, and if you can get to the point where
so if you can
touring,
monetize your stuff online.
yeah, if you can get to the point where you're touring, then that's absolutely amazing. You earn a bit better money, but actually, if you put your effort into content creation, you get brand deals, you can get this and get that. You're probably going to earn a bit more money. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I'm a bit old school. I personally think unless you're, getting up, gigging and doing stand-up, then I wouldn't really class you as a comedian. But other people see it differently. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose if you're making people laugh, then, that's then you can maybe call yourself a comedian. But I'm a bit old school in terms of, I see a comedian as someone that can get up on stage with a mic, nothing else, and, crack
Make people
jokes
laugh,
and really get the reaction out of the crowd,
If someone said, look, I'll give you unlimited budget, we're going to green light it straight away,
Yeah.
and it's going to be on a massive broadcast like ITV, wherever, BBC, wherever it might be,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
I'd quite like to do a sitcom.
Sick.
Yeah, I'd quite like to do a sitcom.
Do you know what? I was speaking to our lovely producer earlier, and I literally said I could see you doing it.
Yeah, I'd like to do a sitcom.
I could see you doing a sitcom.
People go, because of my sketches, I said, you do a sketch show, but actually I think a sitcom is more what I'm interested in doing. Do you know what I mean? Really.
What kind of sitcom would it be?
It would be a sitcom which is largely based where I'm from. So that's sort of, I suppose, Essex, sort of East London border.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of what I know. And yeah, it would be sort of telling the stories of just sort of normal people, really. And I don't really want to say any more of that.
No, of course.
Without giving it away, because I'm trying to write something at the moment.
Amazing.
But listen, it's difficult these days because there's so many people that want to make stuff, and and I'm not a few people know me, but I'm not really a big name comedian. So it's to get something made is really difficult. But hopefully one day down the line, that would be the dream. Because I've got to be totally honest, I don't want to be putting videos up on Instagram and YouTube forever. Do you know what I mean? I'd
course.
like to do something which is on a proper platform and something which has got a bit of a, sounds a bit muggy, but a bit of a legacy. You know what I mean? You know,
course.
like people.
But even getting on Netflix now is like a huge thing, isn't
Oh,
it?
100%. Yeah.
I was watching Kill Tony last night on Netflix.
Kill Tony. Love Kill Tony. I haven't watched
It's
that
the
yet.
first time I've seen it, and do you know what? I really
brilliant.
enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a really good
fantastic.
concept. It's
But
unique as well.
I'd love to create something that, like, you know, like we talk about The Office, Only Fools and Horses. They
Yeah.
talk about it years later. You know what I mean? They quote it years later. I suppose that would be the dream to maybe create something like that.
AI's been a massive thing now.
Yeah.
People are using AI so much. And I'm assuming now you do have the ability now to use AI to write comedy. You could probably write it.
Apparently so. Apparently people use ChatGPT a bit. I don't.
Do you know anyone who does it? Or?
I don't. And mate, I'm a bit of a fucking dinosaur, really. I would not know how to use ChatGPT or any of those ones.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to get on it though. But
But do you feel like that takes away from the human element of the human?
Yeah.
Like a computer's not going to understand what's fun. Like, for example, your lived experiences.
yeah.
You're not going to be able to
No,
get
exactly.
that from a computer.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like
Yeah.
people can't, you know, and that's what I was saying about creating something of where I'm from, because I feel like no one would be able to replicate.
You've got green eyes. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No one would be able to replicate that because it's my story. Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. But do you worry about the future of comedy in that sense of like
I think
AI?
people will always want a personal touch, but I think we should all be a bit scared about the AI thing, shouldn't we? Really, because it might fucking iron us all out. You know what I mean? You know, have you seen the Terminator and all that? You know,
They go against us. Yeah,
exactly. You know, so yeah, we got to keep an eye on them, lot. We got
Gotta keep an eye on them.
not just
We
in comedy.
created them, mate.
Yeah, I know.
It's like bloody. You know,
I
I don't know if you've seen Iron Man. Avengers, when Iron Man makes the bloody Ultrons, and he basically just creates this robot to try and help him, and then they all go against him, and he tries to take over the world.
Really?
So
Well, there you go.
gotta happen, mate.
Yeah, we've got to keep an eye on them. Not just in comedy, but any, you know what I mean?
just in all walks of life.
In all walks of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it started
Those
with,
robots, mate.
it started with the fucking checkout, didn't it?
Self-automated checkouts.
You know, them self-checkouts, they're going to rise up one day and start knocking us all out. You know what I mean? We've got to...
Well, I got the last laugh because I used to not scan a few things.
Did
Not
you
now.
not?
Not now. Just want to clarify before I get.
Well, I
arrested.
never scanned the bag.
Oh yeah,
The carrier bag.
Standard.
I'm
That's
just
standard.
like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not paying I know it's 5p,
No,
but
I think it's more now, mate. I think it's like 10, 20p.
I never scanned the bag.
No, fuck that.
I wonder if you could get nicked for that. I suppose you could because you
You
can theft,
technically
isn't
can,
it?
it's theft, yeah.
But
So if you're watching the coppers,
yeah,
we didn't do it. It's only banter, innit? It's only comedy.
it's only comedy. I'm only joking for comedic effect. Of course I am.
In the future, I know you've mentioned about working with Mo Gilligan, Brother Tunde. You've worked with some incredible comedians already.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who your eyes set on? If you could work with anyone in the future, or support them, or vice versa, who are you going for? Who would you
I'd
love
love
to work with?
I'd love to do a sketch with Paul Whitehouse, Catherine Tate. Be great to do
Catherine
something with
Tate,
her.
legendary that.
Yeah, great to do something with her. Yeah, and I'd like a little cameo on EastEnders, I think.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah, I like EastEnders.
Okay.
I like EastEnders, and
What kind of character would you be, do you reckon?
well, this is it.
Would you be the villain? I could see you being a good villain.
I think I could be a good villain.
Like, and do you know what it would be as well? It would be like when you're about to kill someone, you're just like making a funny joke, and then that could be your sort of thing.
That could be the
You're
thing.
Like, you could be like the humour killer.
See, I like to think I'd roll up and I'd be like the second coming of like Phil Mitchell, but actually my mates are like, actually you're more like Ian Bill, do you know what I mean? So I'm
Got
like,
nothing left.
yeah, exactly. I'd be
Few
like
years
a nightclub owner or maybe like a
Yeah.
estate agent, you know what I mean? Some sort of wanky, I could play that well, you know?
An estate agent.
Yeah,
I
I'd
can see
be like,
that.
yeah, I'd be the villain estate agent, just having people's pants pulled down for like, you know. What I'd do is I'd go on
Figuratively, not
EastEnders. I'd be
physically.
I'd be the villain. I'd go on there as the estate agent, and I'd probably like gentrify the whole of Walford. Do you know what I mean? To the point where EastEnders is absolutely unbearable because instead of watching like Phil Mitchell and like, you know, Bianca or whatever, Ricky, you know what I mean? You're watching like some geezer who's from fucking Surrey who's moved into the area. He's like training to be a doctor. And it's just like, I can't watch this. You know what I mean?
So you want to make it unwatchable? Is that
Yeah,
what you're trying to do?
I'll go in there as the estate agent.
Right.
I'll gentrify the whole square. And then EastEnders get dragged off the thing. We'll
And
get dragged off a
that
BBC.
gives you your opportunity to do your own show.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, right, okay, sorry,
Thanks a lot.
I've fucked up. I've nosed up EastEnders for you.
Yeah.
How about this new sitcom, which can take its place.
Featuring me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Phil Mitchell.
I feel it.
Phil Mitchell, do you know what his name is? Stephen McFadden.
I believe so, yeah. I think it's his
He's a
name,
great actor. He's a great actor. And he was in, he's been in a few things before EastEnders. And I always think if I was to write something, I'd have Phil Mitchell, Stephen McFadden playing my dad.
Would you?
Yeah, because he would be able to get my dad down to a T.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So you see a lot of your dad in Phil Mitchell?
I do, yeah. Yeah, like that sort of bald, just goes really red when he's annoyed. Like, you know what I mean?
The opposite of the Hulk.
Yeah, like proper just like Brexit dad, do you know what I mean? just you know, just gets annoyed about just about any little thing.
I asked you, mate, for a moment of manifestation in the future. So without further ado, can you please show us?
There you go.
Oh, and
That is a beach in Spain.
it's a beach in Spain.
Yeah, because
Yeah, if you didn't know, it is in Spain.
Spain.
Yes.
I thought I'd go. I had to go with the theme.
Yeah,
of
I noticed you do like those little added details. Good. Okay, yeah. So Spain.
Spain.
Whereabouts in Spain?
I like one of the Balearic Islands.
See you in Benidorm. Or...
Yeah, I'm a bit. Listen,
Tenerife.
I'm too classy for that, Gaff. I'm more of a Porto Banús man. You know, I'm a bit more of a Marbella guy.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd
Ocean
like
Beach and that.
Spain or Costa del Sol. I suppose my dream would be to
own a house there.
Would have a house in Spain. Yeah, I'd love
That'd
to
be
do
amazing,
that.
yeah.
Somewhere you can just go, you know, jump on a flight, go out there, and maybe retire out there. They're getting the ump with us. If you've seen over the last couple of years,
Rightly so, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. They're a bit like you're buying up all the properties, but hopefully by the time I can afford to buy one out there, they would have chilled out a bit. You know what I mean? And they'll welcome me with open arms.
Yeah. And what is it about Spain then? Why Spain? Why not any other?
I love the
sunny
food.
country?
I've gone there every year since I was little. It's only, I mean, I went to the Maldives once, and it's Maldives is
He's
great.
making some money.
It was for my honeymoon, so it's like, you know what I mean?
Splash out.
Yeah, it was one of them ones. For someone like me, it's a once in a lifetime holiday. Do you know what I mean? And it's amazing out there, and you feel like you're in a painting actually. And it's terrible. I mean, there's all big turtles there, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But most of the holiday, I was sat there thinking, but that ain't Spain, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's like
he's in the Maldives. He's like, it's not Spain.
Yeah, but you can't. But the thing is with Spain is like Maldives is 13 hours away. Spain is like hour and a half and you're there, and it's like a tenth of the price, which is important. So yeah, that would be my dream to manifest, to have a place in Spain that I could go and, you know what I mean, see out the remainder of my years for sure.
This is your life from past, present, future. What would a younger you be thinking right now if they saw this?
Yeah, I think I've pretty much always had the same mindset. So I think they'd be thinking, actually, maybe not the present. Pretty content at the moment. When I was younger, it was all a little bit mad.
You couldn't really envisage that.
So your 20s can be a bit mad, can't it? Because you're trying to find your way in the world. And you're trying to find yourself a little bit, really. And I suppose I'm in my 30s now. And my geezer in my 20s would be like, oh, I'm glad you sort of just leveled out a bit. And you're a bit more just like content, you know what I mean? Because the 20s is madness.
I can imagine.
So if there's any 20-year-olds watching, it does get easier.
Great message. It does get easier, it does. Obviously, I think it's good as well. You've got to go through the highs and you've got to go through the lows. Because I think you appreciate the highs when you go through the lows and vice versa.
Exactly. 100%, mate. Yeah, you can't have light without the shade, can you?
Couldn't have said it any better, mate.
There you go.
Love that. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Really appreciate it. And listen, no guest leaves this show empty-handed.
Lovely.
So next, I'm going to show you what I've been drawing.
Okay, go for it.
So Josh, mate, this is the part I dread.
I'm excited, mate.
But you might be excited, do you know what I mean?
I'm excited.
So I'm not very good and I've had a bad day today, I'm not going to lie to you. But I've done the best I could. You know, you live and learn. But you ready for this?
Go for it, mate.
Big reveal, mate?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, right, 3, 2, 1.
Look at that.
Do you know the beard, mate? Do you know what it is? I need to learn how to do stubble. I'm really struggling with doing stubble because that looks like a beard, doesn't it?
That looks like a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's not too bad. Do you know what that looks like? That looks like my Turkish barber. Do you know what I mean? With the beard and like where's the apron?
I just, do you know what? I need to learn how to do stubble. So if anyone knows, can you please leave it in the comments? I need to learn.
Shout out my Turkish barber, by the way. He's absolutely blinding.
They're great.
Oh, mate, he's top man. He went to me the other day. He doesn't really say much. That's why I quite like him, because when I go get my hair cut, I'm just like, he just does it. You know, he gives me the nice rub down. You know what I mean? It's nice. But he went to me the other day, and he doesn't say a word, this geezer. He's cutting my hair, and he just went, I see you on TikTok. And I went, oh yeah. He goes, yeah. You tried to be the funny man. And I'm like, yeah, that's me, mate. And then just didn't talk to me for the rest of the week.
I love how you said you tried to be the funny man. You are the funny man.
You try to be funny man. I mean, he sounds Russian when I've done it. I'm
yeah,
not good with
yeah.
the accent,
Not sure about the accent, but
yeah.
You good at impressions?
Might get cancelled at that. I used to be, but all the impressions I was good at, you can't do these days. Yeah, they get you taken off air pretty quick. But yeah, back in school, I was really good.
I can imagine.
But not anymore, unfortunately.
Right. Well, listen,
Thanks
you can
very much,
take it
mate.
home, you can burn it, you can do what you want. But before you do that, we have a rating system here on Drawn Out Conversations. Okay. So how it works is, the worst place in your gaff is your toilet usually. Right. But we've had some contrary information. Now people saying sometimes it's the best place. But usually the toilet is the worst place. Okay. And your best place in the gaff is up on the mantelpiece in the living room, pride of place. Okay. So that's our good end. That's our bad end. Where does that fall? Where are you going to stick it up in your house?
I'm getting a little shed built out the back of the garden where I've got a little office. Okay. I put it up in there.
That's a great
Because I have all the bits of like memories of like when I've done different things. Like when I've done Tour Sport for Mo, I've got a picture of me there at the Hammersmith Apollo. Yeah. That's great. Like good memories of when I've done fun stuff. And I'd put it up in there.
Oh, that is a beautiful answer. I like it
if my missus don't let me put it up in there, I'm going to take it to my Turkish barber. I'm going to say, yeah, mate, I drew this for you.
That was brilliant. So you can stick it up in the shop.
He can stick it up in the shop. Yeah. I mean, listen, anything. But have you seen the Turkish barbers? The decor in there is terrible. Yeah. So this would be a nice little. Be this in a picture of Istanbul, wouldn't it?
An improvement.
Yeah. So yeah, he'd love this. He's gonna love this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to him.
Final thing is, anything you want to plug to the camera? Any shows you've got coming up?
So I've got my tour this year called Doing All Right, and we're just finishing up the southern leg of the tour now, actually, and that's completely sold out. So if you're in the south, you can get tickets to the Hackney Empire on the 7th of November this year.
Amazing.
And then if you're up north or whatever, we're going Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow, Norwich, all the top places. And then we're going to do another leg where we do all the south and that. Nice. So probably going to go back to Brighton.
Love that.
Yeah. You just go to joshjamesy.com or just go on my Instagram at joshjamesy. And I've also got a podcast of my own.
Yes. Plug it, mate.
Called That Josh James Show.
It's great.
It's me and my mate, White Boy, Romford's #1 podcaster. And yeah.
There's a lot of competition in Romford.
There's not, unfortunately. There's my mate White Boy. My mate White Boy. There's Big John, you know, the geezer goes.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much the only sort of content creators in Romford. So he's not beating much. But yeah, go listen to that.
Yeah, no, 100%. We'll leave all the links in the description as well, so you can go check it out. But listen, mate, honestly,
thanks for having us.
Absolute legend, mate. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you
so much. Brilliant paintings. And yeah, that was Drawn Out Conversations.